In this video, I'll go through some examples of working with percentages. So one type of percentage problem is, for example, find 40% of 50. So to solve this, we write 40% as 40 over 100 and then multiply it by 50, and if we calculate that out, it comes to 20. So that's probably the most straightforward percentage problem. Another type of percentage problem is to ask what percent of one number is another number. So let's say what percent of 150 is 30. So here we can set up an equation x out of 100, because we're trying to find a percentage, and that's a number out of 100, is equal to the fraction 30 over 150. So if we solve that for x, we'll get x equals 30 over 150 times 100, and if we calculate that out, we get 20%. A third type of problem is to say 15 is 25% of what number? And again, we solve this by setting up an equation. This time we'll have 15 over x is equal to 25%, so 25 over 100. And then if we solve that for x, so just rearrange that equation, we'll get x equals 15 out of 25 times 100, and that comes to 60. Okay, next let's do 50 increased by 40% is what number? So one way we could do this is to use what we did earlier. So we figured out what 40% of 50 is, and it's 20. So if we increase 50 by 20, we'll get the answer. So 50 plus 20 equals 70. So that's one way of solving this problem, but we can actually solve it in a single step by multiplying our number 50 by, we're increasing by 40%, so if we multiply 50 by 140 over 100, that will increase 50 by 40%. And if we do that calculation, we get the same answer, 70. Okay, next let's do 50, and let's decrease it. 50 decreased by 40% is what number? So again, we could do it in two steps by figuring out what 40% of 50 is and then subtracting it. So we'll get 30. Or we could do it in one step by multiplying 50 by, this time we're decreasing by 40%. So if we multiply by 60 over 100, the 60 is coming from a 100 minus 40. If we do that calculation, we get the same answer, 30. And then finally, what if we have 50 increased by 40%, then decreased by 40%. What number do we end up with? Okay, and the answer is not 50. Okay, you might think instinctively that if we increase 50 by 40%, then decrease it by 40%, we get back to 50, but we don't. Okay, and the reason is, let's increase it by 40% first. So that means multiplying it by 140 over 100. Then we decrease by 40%. So we're going to take the result of increasing 50 by 40%, but then we're going to decrease by 40% from where we are now, not from where we started. So we'll multiply by 60 over 100. Okay, if we start to calculate this out, you can see what's going on. So 50 times 140 over 100, that's what we did up here. That's 70. And now we're decreasing 70 by 40%. Okay, so we're not going to get back to 50. We'll actually go further, because if we decrease 70 by 40%, we'll go all the way down to 42. Okay, so you have to be very careful when you're applying one percentage change and then another percentage change. You have to think about what you're applying that percentage change to.